First, I'd like to introduce Jody Gillespie. Jody is an Associate Director for Information Technology and Business Support with Robert Walters. She is responsible for managing 3 profit and loss accounts, 2 IT teams, and 1 business support team with 11 staff members. She commenced her career 11 years ago with Robert Walters as a consultant, progressing to team leader for the IT contract division. Then promotion to manager across both IT divisions, and 2.5 years ago, progressing to her current position as an associate director. Jody has built a very successful and diversified IT division within Perth, and with the establishment of defined technical verticals, delivered increasing well-recognized brands, delivered increasing revenue year on year, established many large client contracts with well-recognized brands in WA, and the development of multiple staff members to senior positions, encouraging career growth internally and national and international transfers. She is personally responsible for recruiting business analysts, project managers, change managers, and senior appointments. I'd like to welcome Jody Gillespie to our panel.
And I should point out I'm an Eagles fan, by the way.
Well, they might not want to sit next to each other. Next, I would like to introduce Adrian Godwin. Adrian Godwin is the branch manager for Paxis Australia. Adrian is definitely that branch manager for Paxis Australia, and they're the first choice for IT people within Western Australia. Adrian is an acknowledged Western Bulldogs fan, so we're going to have a bit of a fight up here. But there is one good thing: he does have to serve.
Missed the footy thing by accident.
So I think Anthony is going to be running up front to try to get those. Adrian has over a decade of experience in IT and infrastructure and proven experience in the recruitment industry for ICT, what he would like to call networking to networking. I'd like to introduce Adrian Godwin. And last but not least, we have Shireen DeCruz. Shireen has 10 years of experience, or 10 plus years of experience, as an executive search consultant, recruiter, and career coach. She is the founder and principal of Elite Human Capital and Career Coach app. Shireen is also an author, speaker, philanthropist, and subject matter expert on executive search, recruitment, career coaching, and the hidden job market. She's published 5 ebooks and been quoted in the media for executive search, recruitment, and career transition related topics. Visit her website, elitehumancapital.com, to find out more. Shireen DeCruz. Okay, well, 1 second here. Can we get the other speaker? There we go. We had that standing over there. I might actually give this across to the panel because I have something over here and I can sort that out. Okay, well, I was taking a look today and I came across something that was very, very interesting. It kind of summed up the market at times, and especially in the tough times. And it had a person sitting in front of someone else, and this person saying, we're looking for someone with the wisdom of a 50-year-old, the experience of a 40-year-old, the drive of a 30-year-old, and the pay scale of a 20-year-old. And I know sometimes it can feel like that in today's market, but one of the things when we're talking about employability is how you get past that, how you go through, how you figure out how to get that next big opportunity. So in order to start, I would like to bring up an article I actually saw recently in Forbes, and it was how to job hunt like an executive. how to job hunt like an executive. And what it was talking about was that too many people go in and just put in resume after 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 resume, and yet they keep getting no response, and they keep getting frustrated and keep going on through. And it was talking a bit about how you can try to get around that, how you can address pain points directly with hiring managers, how you, by thinking like how a CEO or a CFO or a CIO would actually get their job, which is not through that traditional channel, you might be able to make yourselves a bit more employable. Now, the question I have for our panel tonight is that, is this really the best way to increase your employability? And if so, what strategies do you suggest for utilizing your connections and getting through the myriad of systems that are trying to keep you out of the company, trying to weed you out? So I'd like to start with Jody for now. And Jody, do you have any thoughts on that?
Can you? Good. I think there's a number of ways that you need to market yourself, and particularly in this day and age, you know, the first port of call, you've got your resume, you've got your LinkedIn profile. I think Glenn alluded to one point there in his presentation, pick up the phone. We deal with a lot of different clients, and if you are looking at different avenues to get into a business, use the phone to make contacts in there. Most people around town should have some way of means of getting in there, whether it be a former employer, a current staff member there that you know that can get you in the door. That's one aspect. We spoke a little bit about the resume, and for me this is a crucial point. Once you make contact, you've got to have another document there that backs up what you can deliver. So I said it's one aspect aligned to your LinkedIn profile. I know I'm very passionate about this with panel members that are here. We see umpteen resumes on a daily basis, and at the moment with the way the market's faring, employers are looking at multiple CVs coming through the door. This has to stand out. It has to be a document that markets you and your brand. And unfortunately, I think we could probably all attest, there are some that just get discounted even though they're absolutely qualified, credible people. And some small tips that I'd probably highlight, and the basic stuff, I probably understand that, is make sure it's clear, it's legible, but it sells you and your capabilities and your skills. I.e., start at the top, put your URL profile on or your link on there from LinkedIn, put some of your achievements on there. And by that I mean, if you think about all the different types of project managers we probably have in this room, if all you put on there was scoping a project, the initiation documents, the communications plans, there's nothing to delineate. Are you running a small web project? Are you running a multi-million-dollar infrastructure project or another type of project? You need to put quantifiables on there. You need to be able to put information there that's going to separate you from that next person. So once you've made the contact, you need to back it up with your other profiles, which equally includes your resume and your LinkedIn profile.
Great, thank you very much. Maybe Shireen, would you like to comment on that as well?
Hi everyone. I'm just going to ask everyone to stand up for a minute. We've been sitting for 55 minutes roughly, so I just want to bring the energy up in the room. Shake your legs out. So I, in my home office, have a standing desk. That's how I work. I find that it gives me a high level of energy. And I also want to just recognise a couple of people in the room that are probably looking for work and have had a really tough week. So when you're here afterwards and you're shaking hands, just shake people's hand, look them in the eye and smile, and just recognise that actually the market is tough right now, and that has an emotional toll. And I know that I'm currently recruiting for an information technology manager for an ASX listed business, and I've had over 170 applications, and the quality of the talent is very good. So really educated, fantastic people having a tough time in the market. So I just want you to be supportive of each other here tonight and recognising what the work market is going through. Having said that, now to answer the question, I did put this little thing on your chair and up the back, and it's a little Venn diagram. Real technical people, so you'll love Venn diagram. And at the top, it's talking about market realities, and then on the left, skills and abilities, and on the right, motivation and aspiration. So when I do career coaching with people, we look at these various aspects to try to find that sweet spot. And then a lot of the advice that you've been given tonight by Glenn and Jodie and soon by Adrian around personal branding is very relevant in this market. Because the competition is higher, you have to do more than what you did a few years ago. And the off-market opportunities that Cole mentioned is very relevant. So anywhere from 50 to 90% of jobs are not advertised. That's a researched fact. And so again, you have to do more because of the competition, and you have to find those jobs in the hidden job market, not just the ones that are advertised.
Great.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you very
You
much.
don't have to keep standing, but if you'd like to keep standing, you can.
We'll just let everyone get comfortable first. And I think that actually segues fairly well into a couple of topics that you mentioned there. One was around LinkedIn profiles, but the other was around market realities. And I think I'd like to go to Glenn and Adrian for a moment about some of the market realities that we're seeing today. And if you can help us understand some of the market realities you're seeing and how to try to find that appropriate job or that job that just will pay you in this market.
I think obviously your LinkedIn profile is quite important, as Jodie and Glenn have both alluded to. But I think you really need to step it up a little bit more and talk, as we said, talk about your projects that you have done, and go into some detail, show some nous about it. I mean, how many project managers here have written in their CVs that they've completed a project on time and on budget? How many of you? Okay, so how many of you have done requests for changes or requests for variances in those exact projects? Okay, so have you explained in those projects why you did them? Well, that's great. That's great. Not many people do, but I think creating those points of difference, having the balls to show why the project didn't run, why you had to make this change, shows a lot of character for a person, and someone that you definitely look at when you look forward for the role. Great.
Sorry, I'll stand up as well because I've been sitting down all day too. The other quick thing I'd say to you too is think outside the box. It's quite a cliche expression, but the usual suspects, as it were, are going through their pain. So there's plenty of other opportunities in the small to medium enterprise sector, and there's plenty of other projects that are happening not in the traditional mining, government, oil and gas, etc. So if you are looking for work, as an example at the moment, then think outside the box on those. There's a few other different things that you can do as well too. Sorry, question as well.
You just mentioned a question that I was having in my mind. I've been working in mining for project management for the last 10 years. And I have a background in IT as well. I did work for Oracle for 3 years before coming to Australia. And I found very difficult for me to be able to cross to other industries. Basically, I don't even look at my CV regardless. Because they look at as you said, 5, 10 years, they won't go back in time.
Yep.
So how can I do it if I want to?
It's a good question. I can answer that. Do you guys want to answer it as well or not?
I can.
Yeah, go on.
You've got to find someone that actually can hire because of your resume. So the chemistry will kick in and the resume will be less important. So that's about making a personal connection, getting a referral, getting an introduction. And so the way in the door is someone else gives you the key, not your resume. It's not the way in the door. All of that other stuff will become less important.
Yep. Sorry, I just had to that. which is where not what you know, it's who you know, etc. So exactly that is differentiating the way that you need to approach it. So if you're applying, it ain't going to work. Do some research. Who's working at the company that you want to work at now? See if they can give you some background and intro, and exactly that give you the key to get in the door, and you'll kind of bypass everything and you're away.
And Jody, there was something that they brought up in there as well around getting past how you write your resume for a market transition, how you go through LinkedIn and your traditional resume. Do you have any insights on that, on someone who's making a market transition either from overseas coming to Western Australia or from within Western Australia between industries?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I have a very different opinion to many hiring managers around town. It really bothers me when I hear people say, we don't have WA experience, we don't have Perth experience. I've placed many interstate candidates, international candidates, and particularly for IT, I'm probably telling you what you want to hear, it is transitional, and it's simply easier for hiring managers to pick up the phone to someone from company B and say, hey, what do you think about Joe Blocks? Are they good or are they not? But again, that for me is connecting with maybe some qualified and experienced recruiters around town, if you even have any former friends and family there, because those skills are transitional, and then it's up to us to do our job and mark you out effectively. And that is partly, what we're there for. So if I get someone good coming through my doors, I will proactively try and go out and actually find them opportunities and talk to the decision makers. And I hope no one's in HR here, and no offence if I say this, but not the generic HR that do the tick box style. And it does take a little bit of time, but you can slowly break down those doors. But back to LinkedIn, I mean, it is a tool that we use probably every day for different means and ways. And as someone said, put your Boolean searches in a whole plugin, maybe go project manager, applications, a number of keywords, and look at the people that come up. Your profile has to be robust. It has to have keywords in there that are common in the industry sector that people can find you quickly. Link into different user groups, and I hate to say it, but have a decent professional picture on there. Don't make it a family snap or anything like that, but it's more about the searching capability. Most organisations that I work with in Perth also use LinkedIn as a tool for searching. So you want to be able to find them quickly and have common terminology that are used in the industry to come up quickly so they can connect to you. And I said keep networking with organisations like this and a few other well-known bodies around town are key to connect with people as well.
Great. We'll keep that on. I'm sure you can all hear me from right now. Hello? It's on. It is on. You can hear me? Okay. Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to open it up to the floor to get some questions for our panel, just so you guys can get some information as well for yourselves. So let's see a show of hands on who wants to ask something to our panel. There we go. Great man. Great man. Let's see. Is that working?
Stand up.
Both of you mentioned LinkedIn. But the reason why probably I'd like to know why that. Is there any research done why LinkedIn or any media is becoming popular?
So why LinkedIn?
Did everyone hear that? The question was as to why LinkedIn. We've all four of us have mentioned this before. Why should we use it? I think you can say we all have different research tools from our perspective as recruitment companies. We all have our own private databases, so I can't see what Jody's got, I can't see what Glenn's got, true. So this is the medium which we can find all of you, and that's why, as Jody said, it's so important that you have all the right acronyms, have all the right vendors and brands. That I'm talking more generically in the ICT space, maybe not necessarily PM space, but all those key criteria are important for when we do our searches. If you don't have those, the chances are that you'll get missed by us when we're trying to shortlist our candidates before trying to make contact.
No, you haven't answered my question. What I'm saying is, in terms of the volume of work, the volume of information, the CV carries what mentioned that LinkedIn. So if someone asks me, CV to you, got enough information in the CV, but why LinkedIn? I just wanted the reason why. I know this is popular, I feel it's important, but the reason why.
There's a million reasons why. It's a free personal branding tool for you. It provides social proof as to whether the person is who they say they are. It provides recommendations. It's data rich, so we can get and infer a lot of data from LinkedIn. It's a self-updating resume database. I don't keep a resume database anymore. I use LinkedIn. People want to know about job opportunities, I put them on LinkedIn. I don't want to, I sound like I'm selling LinkedIn here. And I don't want it to be the only tool. Google is the other really important tool. Facebook's a really important tool. You can use it as a personal branding tool for yourself and change your settings to customise what you want the rest of the world to see and what you want your close friends to see. Twitter is a personal branding tool, so there's a lot, but LinkedIn is data rich.
Okay, great. I think we can hear through this one now, so I'll come back and ask, are there any other questions around the room? Right over here.
Yeah, just on LinkedIn and using it to build your brand. I've heard a few different sort of lines of thought that having frequent updates through your profile can help build your brand if they're the right types of updates. But I've also heard if you do your updates too frequently, you can actually sort of flood people's feeds and they can sort of disengage from you. Just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
How's that? Hang that?
Very valid question actually as well, and I've had in review, I've got some friends on Facebook that post where they're going for coffee every 5 minutes of the day, and it does drive me nuts, to be frank. But I think you do need to you do need to be careful. You can actually turn, if anyone's editing your profile, you can actually turn off, I think it's in your privacy settings, when you're making updates in general, so you can turn some of that off. It is for me it's a professional tool, it's not a personal tool, so I don't go posting anything on there that I shouldn't per se. It's all business related. Anything that you are posting or commenting on, I think it is a good way to get your profile up a moment, but you should make it relevant to maybe who you're targeting, if there's a project that you're interested in. So it is targeted approach, it's not just spamming the market per se, and making sure it is relevant. As I said, you can always turn the profiles off if you are updating regularly, so those small updates on your profile don't go out in too much detail. Do you want to add?
Yeah, sorry, one or two quick things to add to your question. The first thing at the back. Sorry, I'll stand up. Try and get some recommendations. So coming back to Shireen's point as well, if you've got recommendations, one of the good things about LinkedIn is because they market it like you wouldn't believe, right? But one of the good things is, again, it's about not what you know, but who you know. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll have a look at who's recommended blah and give them a call and work through the different degrees of separation and what have you. Two, the other point that I want to make, on a personal note, whilst I like LinkedIn, it's a good tool, I also hate it for a variety of reasons as well too. So tech is one of those things. But there's a whole raft of things that are going on in the background. So yes, it's a very good valid tool. It absolutely works because they're bloody good at marketing to make sure that they've got their noses, they've got their information in the nose all the time. But there are other things that you can do and use. You do need to get it right, so get your profile correctly with all the right keywords and some terminology and what have you. You can actually, I can't remember if it's not the basic profile, but it's a step up above, you can actually attach your resume. So if you are in a job search mode, just pay the money, upgrade your subscription so it's not the basic one, and get it spit and polished, so that way when there are recruiters that are out that will be looking for people and what have you too, they'll be able to find you. And secondly, make it really clear that you are looking for work. So you might have your job title or whatever, but say things like, available for new opportunities or whatever the case may be. So it kind of sings, hey, this person's ready to be called and approached. And then of course the really dumb thing of course is, please make sure you use a valid email, so that way when you do get a LinkedIn message or whatever, it comes up on your phone, you can actually respond to it and it doesn't go to your spam box and whatever the case may be, and the recruiter's going, hey, I sent you a message 2 or 3 days ago, you haven't responded, what's going on? So, easy one.
My question
my question was pretty much on that. Has LinkedIn become somewhat or a little devalued by false connections and that sort of thing? And obviously you as recruiters can see through that, and you must be applying some filters to sort the smoke and mirrors and that sort of thing. Can someone comment on that?
Just can't stop myself from groaning. It's so exciting. I've got 8,000 connections. I made a decision years ago to be an open networker. Now, you want to make a decision whether you're going to be an open networker or a semi-open networker or a closed networker. Dunbar's number is based on research that the average person has 150 real connections. So anyone that I see on LinkedIn, and that's been validated in a number of studies, anyone that I see on LinkedIn that has more than roughly 150, today's number is probably closer to 200, 250, I question whether that's their real network. Okay, so, but as a job seeker, it's highly advantageous for you to have a much larger network. Now, there are a lot of, what they say, catfish and false profiles on LinkedIn, so you do have to be careful who you connect with. So I can spot at a real quick glance, I can spot certain things that are an alarm to me about whether it's a real profile or not. In some countries, I'm kind of blacklisted for that reason. But, you know, generally it is in your interest to grow your network online, and that's not just LinkedIn.
I'm also going to comment on
Would
it.
you like to answer that one as well?
LinkedIn.
No, I'm good.
that makes things really easy. We'll go on to our next question.
You distracted me.
Oh, it's my fault.
When you mentioned something about the video job application letter, I just thinking about if appeals to Glenn, will it also appeal to other recruiters? I would just like to seek the opinion of the other people seated there to see if it's a good idea and what's your take on it. Then secondly, it's another question anyway. While Cheryl was talking, she mentioned that one of her roles, about 170 people applied. I'm just also thinking how you can just narrow down and pick a few people to be forwarded to the company. And it boils down to people from other background, people that are actually actively seeking for opportunities. What is their opportunities now to get employed in this type of scenario, where you have a lot of people that have applied and you need to shortlist maybe 5 out of 170. It becomes very hard.
To answer the first one, read the video applications, it is an area that is getting bigger and bigger. I'll be honest, there's not a massive amount of my clients at the moment that are using it. They're trialling it and it is becoming bigger. I equally agree, I think it is a good thing. You can see words written on a paper, you can't necessarily get a personality across. And in that video application, you get a sense of yourself, who you are, and apart from maybe a little bit necessarily on what's written on paper, a little bit about your personality, what you're about, what your goals and aspirations are. And if I had one coming through, I would look at it definitely. I think it is a good thing. The second part of your question there about the number of applications, we are seeing this ourselves. I know I am with the applications that are coming through in particular skill sets, and our clients are as well. Now for us, if I'm working for a client, I am acting on behalf of that client if they give me an assignment and they've given us a particular brief and run through, their culture, their environment, the role, the responsibilities, and we'll be screening and bidding against that. And I can honestly say, of the 170 odd or 100 odd that might come through, 60% of them may be completely irrelevant. Of that next, percentage, there might be another 20% that don't quite have the level of experience. So it's not saying they're all 100% relevant for that particular requirement. The number will whittle down. And then it does become a bit harder because you are looking for that right skill and expertise to fit that requirement. On the flip side of that, as I said, for candidates that are out there, I wouldn't be put off by the numbers, because quite often people do come back to us and say they're not finding what they want from the high volume, and that's probably the intricacies and nuances of the roles that they're actually looking for. But I don't think you're put off by that number, because there's so many different variances in that makeup.
I do have one quick question here just to segue around that, and that also talks about you have 170 applications coming in. You've been through the hard slog, you have been shortlisted. How do you make yourself stand out once you get past that stage as well? Because you're still up against some pretty tough competition, especially in this market. So maybe Adrian, can you start, and then we'll pass it around from there.
I think just as much as we use social media to search your profiles, you should do the same thing if you do get shortlisted. Find that, I know it can be hard at times, we're not always privy to releasing who the people are that are going to be interviewing you, but when we do, you do have that opportunity to look online and find who these people are and what they're about. But you've also got the same opportunity to go look on the website, to find more detail about the company, see who else is there, maybe even see who they're connected to, so you get an idea of what sort of relationships that they hold within the organisation. Don't go in there without a plan, without a strategy. Know who you're speaking to and what the story is you're going to be saying.
Yeah, by the time you've been shortlisted, you can do the job. So everyone's in agreement on that hiring panel that you can do the job. And then it comes down to usually an emotional decision about chemistry between the hiring manager and the candidate. And that chemistry bubble consists of many things. Glenn made a really important point about EQ. And so bringing up your EQ skills will give you an edge by the time you get to interview, because you can do the job. You wouldn't be there for an interview if they didn't really feel that you can do the job. And then it's that stuff that's very hard to quantify that usually comes down to an emotional decision.
Hey, Jose? So in terms of interview techniques and tips, that exactly as we've talked about here, it's do your plan and do your research and due diligence. As corny as it sounds, rehearse. I've had and coached plenty of clients have coached plenty of candidates who have been successful who haven't really had too many jobs in their careers, but what they've done is they've planned properly and then they've kind of rehearsed, so they've made sure that they haven't been caught up with any questions, they didn't waffle, they had a bit of a plan where they knew they were going to get asked some consistent questions and smashed it all out. And then the final part that they did with the interviews is they actually followed up and they demonstrated some manners and a bit of who they are as a person and said thank you, appreciate your time, and did all that proactive aspects and went with it as well too. So all the major or key parts of running a good interview are key, as are all the little bits that you do post that as well, because you want to make sure you come out of a job search process where you're looking at 2 or 3 roles and you're in the wonderful position where you can choose between 2 or 3 as opposed to 1 if you're lucky.
Okay, we'll do one more, because I hear a lot of stomachs grumbling. I can see his hand up. I'm trying not to look at him, just because I know George, I'm getting a little bit of a hard time right now. We'll make him work for him.
Thanks for that, Cole. Really quickly to tie together 2 points before my question. You mentioned focus, rehearse, and earlier you'd recommended going in and sending in a video of yourself. I haven't done the video, but I have used a voice recording rehearsal. And I was remarkably bad, now I'm only moderately bad, but it's a great tool to see what you sound like to someone else. You hear yourself saying, stuttering, and you get to put together your rehearsal without embarrassing yourself in front of someone else. So if you're out there getting ready for a rehearsal, for an interview,
do it in your own room with the microphone. The question, sorry, I did have a question. I heard several of you mention differentiate yourself. And one of my favorite tools, the other thing that you mentioned a lot, was using your network, your colleagues, your friends. The other way that I've always thought of differentiating myself in the job market is using cover letters. And it was something that helped me when I did transition out of the military after 2 decades in the military, was a cover letter to highlight the strengths that I picked up that I thought were appropriate to the ICT industry. What do you think of cover letters as a tool for differentiating?
I'm probably going to split the room on this one, and I'm going to be honest. I think in some areas they're 100% valid, and I think in a number of areas they're not. And I think you've highlighted the point where they are. And as an example, if I had, business analyst who's a career business analyst coming in, they're looking for the same type of role, are they really going to put anything in that cover letter that I can't read and validate in their resume? Probably not. For yourself, and maybe if there is a transition and they're looking for a career change and moving up into a completely different type of role or transitioning from one sector to another, I do think it's valid to incorporate those skills in there.
Shireen, do you want to sing my voice?
I love cover letters. I love detail. I like long resumes. I want to see resumes and cover letters done in that person. I don't want it done by a resume person. I can spot resumes that are done by a professional resume writer. I hate professional resume resumes. I don't trust them. It gets my back. I want to see an honest, true reflection. It's a work sample. And so I've actually added a step into my recruitment process where I get a word sample from someone, a written sample, because I no longer trust resumes.
Great. Well, thank you very much. That was our last question for the evening, and I can hear the stomachs grumbling from all the way up here, so I can see the food coming out on the back. But before we do that, I'd like to call up James, our president, to actually congratulate and thank Glenn, Jody, Adrian, and Shireen for the excellent advice tonight, especially very timely in this market.
So guys, thank you very, very much for the tremendous opportunity to speak in front of the Project Management Institute. I think everyone's got a lot out of it. There's so much that I'm sure the questions will go beyond the networking session we're having afterwards. But thank you again. I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of BMI. Thank you very much for participating in this event. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
We have some gifts for you as well, so thank you very much, Shireen.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.